out. All right, we are at the pinnacle. We are at the end. My man,
Final.
my man, 50 grand. Brandon, Fist of Fire, Foster,
Fist of Fire.
Fist of Fire has finished my book. And he now, because his father was a Doyle and thought he had the second book.
This one.
Did I say that out loud? About your father being a Doyle?
Yeah, this is the first edition. Super rare.
Super rare. Super rare. It's kind of
Yeah.
like God's DVDs. So, the ones from my first release of my MMA Burmika's MMA conditioning basement tapes, whatever the hell it was. Anyway, okay. So you read the entire book.
Yes.
All right.
This one.
You read the anti-bullying stuff
Yep, on the Kindle.
on the Kindle. Now, were you kind of flabbergasted that I got a letter from Michelle Obama?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I took out from our conversation last week was that little letter, and I was talking to my mom and dad about it, how that Kevin Kern's got a letter from Michelle Obama herself, and yeah, I thought it was pretty darn cool. Yeah.
Well, it was on Wayhouse Stationery, and I framed it. And one of my clients said they knew exactly what you're going to do with it. Of course, I'm going to do that with it. Of course,
Yeah.
So
The first thing you're going to show them is that you got a letter from Michelle Obama, as they know that you're good.
Well, the funny thing is, I appreciate. The funny thing is, I turned around, sent her like 15 more books, and like pink bow shoes, and my MMA Fighter Fit DVD series, and the whole 9 yards.
Fair enough, I'm sure.
Look, this is a is it Picasso? No,
Picasso.
not Picasso.
Van Gogh.
But no, Da Vinci. I think
Da
it's
Vinci.
Leonardo. I think it's Leonardo da Vinci. I may be wrong. The problem with man, this is going to mess you up a little bit. The problem with man is aiming too low and hitting his mark.
I haven't got a master's degree in philosophy.
Well, it's not philosophy, right? With the Van Gogh, I think maybe it was Van Gogh.
I don't know a lot of big artists. So.
It may have been Van Gogh. I'm not sure, but no, Da Vinci, because Leonardo da Vinci did the sculpted David. So preface that by saying this. Okay, let's see if you can make sense out of this. Okay, what he was saying is, we don't push ourselves to the next level. We only aim so high. So when somebody asked him, how did you create, this is a great thing too. I love this quote. How did you create David from one block of marble? You know what he said? Fantastic quote. David was always there. I just cleared away the exit.
Yep, I have heard them. He says, like, he talks about how he releases, like, there's an image trapped inside the stone, and that he would like release it or whatever. So he talks about stuff like that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Nice to think about.
The whole point of my book, when we go into the 4S formula, is speak up, stand up, stay together, and self-defense. Okay, so when you're getting bullied, you got to speak up for yourself, and eventually you're going to have to stand up for yourself, and then stay together. As I've done at many schools, I get everybody to stand up, and then I grab them and I grab them all. I have them all grab their hands. I go, now look, one bully against all of you. So I think if we look at the perspective of this, I know these are kind of big words, so I apologize. This is what's said to me in yoga class today by Anthony DeLugio, my yoga mentor, kettlebell mentor. We're all part of the same ocean. We're all part of the same ocean, man. We're all human beings. We're all the same. Doesn't matter, black, white, Hispanic, religion, doesn't matter. We all bleed red. We all have feelings. We all have dreams and aspirations and the whole bit. So when I say get together, stay together, get together with like-minded people. You can find the video out on YouTube a few years ago when I went out and did it. I did like 300 to 400 fifth and sixth graders, and like, what do you like? Riding, swimming. Okay, look at Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer was one of the best chess players at 9. 9.
Chess is a hard game, and to be so
Yeah.
good at it at 9 is just, wow, it's incredible.
He's played against some of the best people in the world to beat them. He's
played against adults.
Yeah.
He's been playing it for like years, and he's 9 and he just beats him.
I remember my history correctly. I think he actually beat a computer one time.
Oh, that's hard to do. If anyone has ever played one of those online sites where you can play chess, you know that playing the computer on hard mode is quite a task. And I haven't even beat him in easy. That's just because I'm not really very that good at chess. I would like to be. It's a cool game. It's a nice strategy game, but
well, life is chess.
Yeah.
And sometimes life is checkers. You just have to
checkers. That's so fun.
So what questions did you have after reading the anti-bullying programming?
3 questions. So
just 3, huh?
What martial arts do you practice and why?
Good question. Well, I've studied a lot, and somebody close to me asked me what level I am, and I'm a big fan of like my good friend Olivier Grunner, who is, was a PKA champ, you name it, he was it. And I had him on Coffee with Coach in the interview. I said, what level are you at? Well, and he's got a very French accent. He's ex-French Navy SEAL. I'm probably middle level in cooking. I'm like, I'm going to kill you. He's like, coach, I'm 60. He looks about 40. I don't believe in all that stuff. And I don't either.
Always a white belt.
Always a white belt. Exactly. That's my hashtag. I've got my original black belt and I get my original brown belt, which are the 2 top belts from Kempo Karate that I got at 16 and 17. I've got my blue and my white Moncall, which was given to me 5 years ago from Mark. And I just got my blue Moncall, which Mark said, you really are red, but we keep it real here. You did have a break. And he goes, no, I'll probably be red by a year or so, whatever. Because Mark, sit your tongue keeps it very real and, digestible. So what I've studied, I started with Kempo Karate, and then I saw holes in it. And then Above the Law came out, and then I studied Aikido for a little bit. Then I went to stand up. I went to, what's that?
You saw holes in karate, like there's problems with it?
Yeah, because like there was no ground. I knew back then at 17, 18, there's no ground fight, no joint marks, no this, no that. I'm like, okay, what's that all about? And then Above the Law came out with Steven Seagal. I went, that's the stuff I want to study. And I studied Aikido, but the Aikido I took was very flowery, and I'm like, this doesn't work for me. And then I got into stand-up jiu-jitsu, small circle jiu-jitsu, Ketsugo jiu-jitsu. And matter of fact, I've got a trophy over there for, being an apprentice instructor. When I was like in my early 20s, I used to get up at like 4:30 a.m. and go to the one of the YMCA's, because my instructor was the head of security at one of the big YMCA's, and the facility manager was a client. He was in his 40s, so I was his uki, and that's how I learned for a while. And I always kept my mind open for different things, and then I think I fell out of it for a while, and then I was very interested in Filipino martial arts. I started with Mark Delagrati in '92 at Guy Chase's school, and then my business started taking off, and I moved 45 minutes the opposite way, and I had to focus on that, and then kind of fell off the wagon for a little while. Got married, I was very interested in the Filipino martial arts. I went to a place called No Frills in Somerville, and there was a guy there doing it. And then my other training partner met this guy, John Frankel, I'm still friends with him to this day, who came from the Insanto Academy and had the Kali background, had the Muay Thai background, had this background.
Oh, yes.
And then that was it. And I spent from 95, I spent from 95 till probably 1995 till probably 2001, maybe 5-6 years going there. Like we were animals too. We were just animals. I started taking Western boxing to help my Muay Thai, and I was there 3 nights a week. And on Fridays, BJJ was taken off back then. So on Fridays, we would do, an hour Kali and then an hour of BJJ private. And then we would do an hour and a half of sparring. And then I was still doing all my conditioning stuff, the whole 9 yards. And
You must have been exhausted after
I
that.
was just an animal. I don't have, like, I'm dating somebody now and she's trying to figure me out. And she's like, you just don't have I'm like, I just don't know the meaning of can't.
You don't have an off button.
I have an on, I have, no, it's not that I don't have an off button. I have the ability to switch it on and switch it off.
Yeah.
And when it comes to something that I've made my mind up and I'm committed to, that's it.
Determination, endless energy.
I burn the boats. The boat. There was an old story about these Vikings that landed and they were going to take over whatever. And they were very nervous about invading. The captain turned around and burned the boats. He said, you see, the boats are burned. We win or we die. That's my attitude. That's my attitude. And, your father's a longtime martial artist. John Price Stevens, a longtime martial artist. So then from there, I studied Bikini Chursi for a couple of years. And then 2005, I met Steve Whittier. And then I got introduced to Mark Delagrati again. And the past 10 years, if not plus, with, Mark Delagrati, trained Thai boxers. So my root art is definitely Kempo, but there's other stuff filtered in there. My go-to is always Muay Thai, and more like Mark Delagrati jokes around Delagrati karate, because it's a hybrid of kind of like everything. It's Mark throws in Silat, Mark throws in Kali, Mark throws in Wing Chun because he studied it all. So he has the ability. He's a savant to throw in how to use Kali actually in MMA and even on the ground. He's just Mark's ahead of the curve. I call him the Italian dragon. Like Bruce Lee's the dragon, he's the Italian dragon.
That is a lot of martial arts.
Yeah, then
Wow.
I studied a little close quarters combatives, marine stuff. I've studied a bunch of stuff, Western boxing, dirty boxing, a lot.
I don't know how you fit all that in your brain.
Oh,
honestly.
I would jump in for 5-10 years, and then something would happen, then I take maybe a break for whatever reason, and then I would jump back in. And at the end of the day, it goes back to the fundamentals I learned at United Studios of Self-Defense. We had 5 basic things, and it was like effort, etiquette, character, self-control was a big one, and discipline.
Yeah. Would you still remember stuff you done like 10, 15 or years ago, or maybe even like whenever you were young and started doing karate? In the book, actually, like would you remember stuff from that? Like, would you still remember?
Technique-wise, probably not, because it's kind of just all melded together.
Yeah.
Like somebody was saying, what would you do? I'm like, I'll give an example. My buddy Mark Marcy, who's a Hoboken Compass, I'm doing all that Fit First Responder program. I'm at his place back in October training him. And Mark's a big guy. He's ex-wrestler, ex-football player, tried out for the Giants as a defensive back. And, he's 5'10". He's got arms the size of cantaloupes. The cows for calves. And he was a detective, and he for 23 years, and he was on loan to the DEA, breaking down doors for drug enforcement. And he's got wounds in his neck from splinters from a shootout from the frame door. He's got multiple stab wounds, and he's 240, and I'm 108.
Multiple.
So he grabs me by the arm and hooks my leg, and he goes, okay, I got you. If I'm understanding, I got you here. What do you do? And I didn't even think about it. I go, I can go. He goes, yeah. I reached up, put my thumb right in his throat, drove him to the ground. As he put his head back, I went after his nose and drove him straight to the ground. Then put my knee on his kidney, on his rib, and I was like, and I had his arm at the same time. He goes, you're coming to Hoboken to teach my guys. I can't tell you what I used. And on the way down, he goes, I felt you need me in the thigh too. Because I needed, that's Filipino. I need him on the tie. I don't know.
That's brutal, Kevin. That was brutal.
I can't tell you where it starts and stops. You know what I mean? I just can't. It's just a fusion of whatever.
It flows.
Yeah, it's fluid. I mean, if you saw my pad hitting session a couple of days ago,
I don't think I did.
Yeah,
my dad probably did.
Sure, you have your father pull it up. Basically, Mark, during our semi-private, I had already done my conditioning for an hour. During my semi-private, Mark decides to tell my other classmates. He's like, okay, you guys are going to represent me and we can do the Kali C lap, but I'm well known for this. So I'm going to do pad work today. I'm like, shit. I'm like, I just did conditioning for an hour. I'm like, okay. And I sucked it up. And Mark's like, so Kevin's going to show it. He's going to be my example. I'm like, bang, 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 bang. I'm like, I just going to suck it up and do it. And I asked him,
that 1 second of just, and then back to it.
Then you know what? I'm like, yep. I'm like, he's like, Kevin, I'm like, okay. And I go, how was my representation? He goes, spot on. I go, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah.
What was your next question?
How did you adapt your martial arts trainings for children in the?
Well, people make this crazy distinction that you have to train children differently. You don't. You got to do the same thing you do with adults. You've got to make it fun. You've got to make it interesting, and then you've got to be repetitive.
So you don't lose interest because children have quite a short.
Like if we're in a plank position and we're doing what's called one hand forward, one hand back, right? I'll call it whack-a-mole. You ever see the game?
The game.
Yeah. And I'll have two kids on either side. I'm try to get his hand, try to get his hand. I'm working their core and their shoulders at the same time and the stability. They don't even know what they're doing.
It's just that's something familiar. You have to put in things that are familiar with them and stuff like that. Because they have a short attention span, and if they
I'll have them all lined up in a line. Doesn't matter who they are. Throwing a couple of medicine balls, and they've got to throw the medicine ball to each other with their feet up, and they have to say hot potato all the time. Hot potato, hot potato. I worked at a high level tennis camp for 10 to 12-year-olds for like 6 years in the summer. I would have 20 or 30 kids at a time.
And that's a lot to deal with. Honestly, that's a lot to deal with, especially younger ones. They can be quite noisy.
And it was twice a day that they were doing. It was a high level tennis camp. It was a great job. I loved it. I was outside all day, and you had to make up different things all the time, and different games. But at the end of the day, the exercises are the same.
Yeah, they're just a little fun twist to them. Something to keep them at it, keep them interested. And also, this isn't just for kids, as adults as well. You should be sparring even if it isn't proper sparring. Something we do in my dad's class is we would spar every lesson, okay? Especially for people who are just starting out, we would still even spar, and it would be more like we do this thing where we like touch the shoulders. It's like it would be normal fighting. You'd be in your fighting position, and my dad would shout out, okay, touch the head, and you'd try to avoid their touches and also touch their head. And then he would say either shoulders, ankles, or knees, I think it was. And it sort of simulated sparring, and it was good for people who've just started out. So they would still be like, oh yeah, that was fun. We had that little bit of sparring at the end. But, and whenever they got better, they could actually do proper sparring. But, it was just stuff like that to keep people interested,
Exactly. That's all it is. It's just dressing it up.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Here's the big thing, Brandon, as you get older. Read your audience, right? Read your audience. What's your audience? You know what I mean? Is it like if I was in front of, UPS truck drivers, that's different. If I'm in front of some corporate thing like Pegasystems, I'm going to be different. It's like Gary V. Vaynerchuk says, it depends on, his personality on Facebook is different than on Instagram and different. It's all the same. It's just who your audience is.
Yeah, if your audience is young, you would make it more, stuff. You'd see trends with the younger community, and you'd sort of try and involve that with your stuff, with your training. And then if it was for older folk, it would obviously be different,
Mm-hmm.
Agree. Now, why do you think your martial arts system is so effective for kids?
Well, it's not so much my martial arts system. It's the combination of things, because at the end of the day, I want anybody that learns the 4S formula. Self-defense is, mental, emotional, spiritual first before it ever gets physical. Before it ever gets physical. When I was on, Fox 25. You give people a warning. Look, I don't want to fight you, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is to call people out. So, some guys call it verbal judo, whatever else. The thing I have, what freaks people out, is I have a patent stare. I'm like, do you really want to go there?
You done this last time.
And I don't blink, you know, I don't blink, the woman I'm with now, she gets all freaked out when I'm like, but it's a different set. I'll just look at her and smile. And she looks at me, she's like, oh my God, you're making me blush. I said, I'm just studying the artwork. I'm appreciating the artwork. And she's, oh, stop.
Stop
Like,
it.
but it's like, and I think people lose that connection and sense if like everybody's a person, in this world where it's all cut and paste and click and scrolling and everything else. People forget to hit pause and just like be with each other,
Yeah.
be with each other. And I think martial arts yoga, especially when you start getting to like martial arts and yoga, or even fitness classes. You get a community, and the community becomes real, because you know what, it's an old saying that I learned from I think Tim Barshad, Professor Tim Barshad, sweat and smiling. A lot of my lines, like last one, best one, we like it, we love it, we want more of it, from Tim Barshad, Keith Thompson, and on some of the great people. Mine patented is hustle equals muscle. That one I came up with. That one, always white belt's mine.
Hear that a lot.
Get it done in 21. Make time, not excuses. Stop complaining and start training. Stuff like that. The grit is for the grind. That's mine too. And then I'm just and make it. Fitness, martial arts, all that should not be. It's a grind, but it's not a grind. So how do you? It's like selling. How do you sell without selling? Okay, you have pushiness, but how do you sell? How do you sell without selling? So it's what we call farming. Okay, planting seeds.
Okay.
Hey, this is what I do. You can't push the river, right? The river's going to flow. So when you see a river, like I got a river out my window every day, when it sees a rock, it goes around the rock. Okay? River is patient. Water is patient. Be fluid. That's why when you look at combat, martial arts, and all that, it's very, very fluid, very fluid.
So many motions. There's like a really nice flow to it. It's nice to watch. Sometimes even relaxing to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
just like watching a river is considered relaxing, and it is. Yeah.
I'm out there almost every day watching the river. I wake up every morning and I stand there, just look at the river for 15 minutes.
Yeah, you have a really nice apartment. It's got a nice view of the river. You can just look out. You can wake up, look out the window, and it's literally there. It's just nice.
I appreciate that. It's taken me a long time to get comfortable in my own space, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm not moving. I ain't leaving.
It is a lovely place. Like, it looks great.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is it.
This is the living room, I guess, and then that's
my view.
There's the river. Lovely. Do you think you could swim there? Do you think you could?
No, you can through there, and then this is really hard to go to bed inside of this. It's like my own suite.
It's really nice. The brick is really nice. I've always liked like bare brick in the houses.
Stones are like 17 feet high, and one of my clients is a facility manager for a $1 billion company. He's like, oh my God, the light. And you know what? The light does make a difference. It makes a huge difference.
Do you need to block out the light to sleep, or do you prefer?
No. The sun rises right here. So about 10 o'clock it comes here, and then as you can see, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's right there. It'll set right there, right in my bedroom. Right in my bedroom, But then you have, it's very important. Like a friend of mine, Todd from RevGear, said it's very important to, no matter what it costs, to be comfortable having your own home space, to be open. What do you mean to come? Like the other day it was raining here, right? And I was working. I was by myself. I was working on a Saturday, a little bit here and a little bit there, and it was raining. It was cloudy and drizzly. But there's nobody. There's a what do you call it? Just a rubber roof up there. So you close your eyes and it sounds like a steak sizzling on the grill.
Oh, I love it whenever I'm in my room and I'm either reading or doing something else, like I don't know, watching YouTube or something random. I just love hearing the rain pattering against my window. And one of the good things about living in Northern Ireland is it rains a lot. It rains a lot, okay? Like rain is like always coming, and I don't know about you, but we get a lot of rain, and it's nice to see it sunny, but the rain sounds nice against the window, it relaxes you. There's something about water
Oh
that's
yeah,
just relaxing.
it's where we came from.
Yeah, oh yeah, we did.
And that's where we were for 9 months.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So that's why we have this attraction to water. This right here is like, I'm just getting I only moved in like 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks. So I'm getting a table and the whole 9 yards. I'm getting
Oh
my
wait,
own
this is your new house?
new apartment. Yes.
Yeah, apartment, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought this was your place. I thought.
No. I moved to Rhode Island. November, was in that place for about 8 weeks, and then just moved here on the 19th. So I've been in here for just 6 weeks.
Always on the move.
No, it's just the other place didn't work out, and the person wanted me to buy the place, and I wasn't ready to buy anything. Because everything's going over value. And I'm comfortable. I could literally, this is my favorite seat.
Yeah.
The sun's here, and I sit here, and my office is in there. It's the kids' room too, but it's where I keep my desk. So I'm not in there that often. They complain all the time, so it's like, I'm like, okay, Dad, would you put your desk in here? So they're trying to get me to put the desk in there. But I'm even getting my, because this wall on this side is a staircase. I'm getting, because Mark got me addicted to crew Mark got me addicted to Wing Chun dummies. I'm getting my ordered my Wing Chun dummy. It's going right in the corner. Plus, I train people in here too. So, and then I train them in their apartments.
Oh, you train them like in your apartment?
Oh yeah, I'm doing it online.
Oh, would you do you have like a room separated for like a dojo-esque sort of room? No, just anywhere you want.
I can do it anywhere.
Yeah, fair enough.
I can do it right in my living room. I don't need a lot of space.
Would you consider having like a dojo in your apartment, like a sort of a little area to train? No,
it's kind of anywhere.
Anywhere? Fair enough. That's okay.
I mean, I train. I mean, I've been doing home clients for years, so I used to train people in Boston all the time in their apartments, in their townhouses, and you don't have a lot of room, so you make do.
Yeah. No, again, it's a really nice apartment. I would love to be in a place like that. That's pretty cool.
I've wanted this for a long time. The big house was one thing until I got divorced, and the big house was great. That was my third house, and we had 2.5 acres and the whole 9 yards, and my it was a full gym, but it is what it is.
I don't know. There's something that doesn't really appeal to me of having like a really big house. I don't know, like sort of a smaller, compact area.
It's unfortunate because sometimes it becomes like an American thing, right? A Western thing. I need a bigger house, more money, more cars. And at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah, it's just, it's all, you don't have to be so materialistic, we're all materialistic, but
it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Hold on.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Right? You're you, I'm me, okay?
Yeah.
And any other questions?
No, but I did just something whenever you were talking about there. I didn't exactly know what made me think of this, but I was reading something online about how many books people like Obama, I forget how many he would read a year, and I've sort of started trying to read half an hour each day, whether it be a Stephen King book or even your book or something else. I flipped through it the other day, just looking back on some of the earlier chapters. But how many books would you read each year? Like,
I'm not the best at reading. Your father's better than me because
he reads.
My mind goes off track, so I'm more of a listener. So I will listen to probably 10 books a year.
Audiobooks, no.
When I was traveling, constantly in planes, the whole bit, and before cell phones, and I had to deal with this flipping thing all day and going off 10 times, 100 times a day, and the whole bit. I would listen to stuff constantly, And I'm a repetitive listener. Like I don't like, your father goes nuts. I sent him the parameters for master coach. He's like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, do it. And it's like 13 books. And I said, you can either read or listen, one of the two. And I'm a big fan of multiple listening. I mean, I'll go up and do a certification or a seminar or something, and people like, where did you pull that up? I'm like, I don't know, something that's stuck in there. Now, you're done with your questions. I have some questions for you.
Oh no.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
scared.
I'm putting you on the spot. What was your overall experience on my book, Always Pick Last?
Well, to start it, I enjoyed it. It was a very good book, and as everyone's been saying, I think this could be really easily adapted into a movie. Well, not easily, but it is very adaptable, and it was a great book. And reading through it, I was like, yeah, this is the real life karate. And we watched Karate Kid 2 last night, and it just reminded me.
So why?
Oh yeah, Kevin's book. It kind of reminds me of
So why did you think it was good? You mentioned like my attention to detail.
Some of the stuff that you remember. Some of the stuff you remembered, so many details that that I couldn't remember details from last week, Kevin. And you're remembering stuff from years and years ago, and I just found that really impressive. One of my favorite scenes was you describing how your emotions during that final, not really a battle, confrontation between Tony and his little gang. One of my other favorite scenes was, I just thought was really hard to read, was you being getting caught in the middle of the street, just for such a silly thing. It was just a pair of pink pants, but yet you got beat up for it. It was so silly. And, it was hard to read. There were some really emotional parts during it, and yeah, but overall, brilliant book. Well done.
So as I've said to people that I give the book to, even adults, it's an easy read and a hard read at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not that long.
No.
It's only 228 pages. So it wouldn't take you that long if you're reading it like half an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
But it is quite emotional, and it is quite hard to read. There's some stops. There's some parts in it that you might want to stop at and just think about, like even think about it. Some people like to skim past things, but no. During the pink pants scene, you need to think about how silly that is. Think about why Tony's doing this. How silly it is. It's just a pair of pants. If you look at it in that perspective, it's just a pair of pants. Yet he's being bullied just for such small things. I mean, you're being,
Well, and then, one of my good friends and colleagues, Ken Neiladato, said, I know you dedicated to your father. Would have been interesting if you dedicated the book to the bullies, because you wouldn't be who you are unless it happened.
Yeah, like
perspective, right?
Put it in, that would have been cool. Yeah. Speaking,
It's all on how you look at things, right? There's a Wayne Dyer philosophy. When you change the way you look at things, the look of things change.
Yeah, just about that. Make it like a message to them. You could have made it like it was another way of putting it is making it like a letter to them. Like you're speaking a letter to them maybe years later, and telling them what they did wrong, and how they affected you in certain ways.
Now,
I mean?
Out of curiosity, what were some of your biggest takeaways? Like what maybe give me like 3 bullet points of like some life lessons that you kind of like, wow, I didn't know that. That's a good thing I got to remember. Just anything. There's no wrong answer.
Oh, something to consider quite generic. So don't give up. The karate thing, you had so much dedication with that. You literally went downstairs. You had this little section in your basement, and you'd punch constantly and hours a day, and I just thought that sort of dedication was incredible. Like, I have very short, what do you call it?
Attention span.
Attention span. I can have a quite short attention span when it comes to things, including stuff like martial arts. You know, I really enjoy sparring, but when it comes like sitting and learning techniques, I could get very
Thrown off.
going off, just looking at other things, you know, oh look at this, oh look at that piece of paper, you know. But
Well,
whenever I saw you just that little bit section about you talking about how you were punching like hours and hours for most of the day, I just thought that dedication, I really want that, you know. I really want to be able to do that with
well,
anything.
the big thing I learned was real simple, and I learned it probably in the first few months. When you practice, you get better.
Yeah.
So that's why I've dedicated my life the past almost 33 years now in my business to making people feel better. Because most people that come to me for fitness, self-defense, whatever it is, you're trying to build their confidence up, you know? And, you know, when my ghostwriter came to me, Kit Birmingham, who I never met before, who, you know, did a lot of the work for zero. When she came to me and said, you know, why do you want to do this? I said, help some people. She goes, good, because if you said you wanted to make $1 million, I told you you're crazy. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but I'll tell you you're crazy. I said, look, I go, if we get one kid, one person to turn their life around and realize they're not worthless, because that's what happens when you get bullied. You feel like you're worthless. You feel like you're completely worthless, that you don't need to be here, and the whole 9 yards. And when Kit and I started doing it, she couldn't believe how bad the problem was globally, on a global scale. I said, if we get to do that, I go, if you and I are on Oprah, that goes onto the New York Times bestseller list. Great. I got 2 girls that got to go to college. Fantastic. That's icing on the cake, you know. But in general, you know, it's like Billy Osbrook said, you got to write the book like nobody's going to read it. So what? Just write the book.
Just write the book.
If it's in you, there's a great saying from Billy Osbrook or Les Brown. I love them both. And they say, you know what? Don't keep your gifts wrapped.
Don't.
Yeah. Don't keep.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I need to think about this one.
Don't,
Again, I'm really bad with these things. I can never.
You're not really bad with these things. These are just life lessons. Okay. Everybody has a gift.
Yeah.
Whether it's your smile, your ways, your personality, doesn't matter. It's your gift. Don't keep it wrapped. And what ends up
hide it away from people just because a selective you may not like it.
I mean, it's like this. If I didn't decide to do this, you know, there's light in the tunnel. I mean, I personally have helped 7 or 8 people in the past year with some type of mental illness and suicide.
Tell me about that, actually. I think it was last time we were talking about that. Yeah. Oh, it was very interesting.
And there was just a gentleman, somebody reached out to me on Facebook. They met me at a pool club, like, I don't know how many years ago. He's a police officer in one of the towns in Rhode Island. Now he's an Amtrak officer. The guy that ran the mental health section for police officers for the entire state of Rhode Island committed suicide over the weekend. So the guy running it, and I was like, you know, I was talking to, you know, my woman last night, and she's like, you have got an edge to you. Like, she goes, you can't, you can't feel responsible. I'm like, I'm trying not to. Yeah. And it reminds me of like that great scene with Liam Neeson and Schindler's List. If I can get just one more, I could have got one more life. I could have saved one more life. I love that scene. You know, here's a well-known businessman in Schindler's List who actually saved thousands of Jews by working the system. You know, and he like when he had kids, and he said he was making equipment for the military, right? And they're like, why do you need children? He goes, how am I going to polish the inside of the shells, of the cannon shells? They got to polish them. I mean, he was a great bullshit artist like that, you know. But there's a scene at the end. He goes, if I could, and he just broke down. He goes, if I could have got one more person, just one more person, just one more. I mean, that's what happens when you make
what movie was that?
Schindler's List.
Oh, right. Okay. Was that a Liam Neeson movie?
Yes. Steven Spielberg, though, but it's all about Auschwitz and this German businessman who took it upon himself to save thousands of Jews, to do what he could to save thousands of Jews.
I think I've heard about that story. Not the movie, but I've heard about that story in maybe history class. I think we talked about it.
Then you've got books like this. No, where is it? I don't have it with me. Then you have books like Viktor Frankl, Dr. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a medical doctor that was in Auschwitz. He was Jewish. He was tortured every day. Every day. And then he came to a realization that they can hurt my body, but they can't hurt me who lives inside this body.
And hurt my soul.
No, everybody, I mean, if you have a soul, you have a soul, you know? That's why I look at people and like, now with the mask on and everything else, you look at people's eyes, but it's like, now that people take the mask off, smile. Like we've been in yoga class and now we can finally ditch the mask. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And Anthony was great last weekend. We're in class. He's like, you know what? Introduce yourself to somebody. Go over. And that was a big thing when we did all these like warrior weekends with martial arts. LaValle, this guy Kiyoshi LaValle used to say, we'd have 100 school owners down there. And he'd say, don't eat lunch alone. Don't eat dinner alone. Don't eat breakfast alone. Network, 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 network. My famous saying in business, life, or relationships is it's always worth a 15-minute conversation, but people are so goddamn busy scrolling.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, I'll talk to you about this. I'll see if I'm interested. If I'm interested, we keep going. If I'm not, then let's just call it done. And even if it doesn't work this time around, maybe some other time. There's a saying in sales, no means no right now, not no forever. And
just give up like that,
You might interact with somebody else, right? And you're pleasant and friendly, whatever else. And then like, let's just say you have any type of business and they say, hey, you know what? I met this guy, Brandon, he's great. I didn't use him, but blah, 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 blah. And that's how it happens. What's happening in today's world is I think this with COVID, what I think what COVID teaches us is this, we have to get back to basics. Back to basics. We have to talk to people more, get on the phone more, spend time having
socializing.
Socializing, not social media, socializing, right?
There's a big difference. There's a big difference between the media and the izing,
Anybody can hide behind a computer screen and an email. Anybody.
Yeah.
And that's not true. That's not true socialization. We are tribe animals, right? We are tribe animals. Why else? We're not nomads.
It's in our nature to socialize.
Exactly. It's in our nature. So when I see people like I'm going to yoga today, right? And I left pretty much on time. And then I hit the road and bang, we hit traffic. I'm like, okay, that's weird because it usually doesn't happen. And I already been up since like 4:30 working, training clients online and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, okay, so, I know the owner and I whip out my phone. I said, hey, Anthony, I know you have a cancellation policy. I'm stuck in traffic. I don't think I'm going to make it. Just a heads up, there's an accident on 146. So I didn't realize there was an accident. Then I did realize it because police car after police car, and then fire truck. And people then started following the fire trucks. I'm like, there's an accident. You're telling me your life is that so important that somebody got in an accident, that's not as important. We're on a highway. Somebody was going 60 plus miles an hour. The airbag went off. The car was, and there's an ambulance. Okay. How would that be? People, I get individuality, but also there's a level of entitlement that needs to go. There's a great saying from Julius Caesar, and I love this saying. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
That's a love. I'm never going to get these.
Well, think about it, okay? There's a one on my refrigerator. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. That's John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, I get that one. Yeah, that's easy enough.
It's known as the pebble in the pond theory. If you don't try, nobody will try.
A pebble in the pond.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you drop a pebble in the pond? It ripples, right?
It ripples.
So energy is energy. So if you're kind to somebody else, so there's a book on my table called Random Acts of Kindness, and I'm famous for doing this. Not famous, whatever you want to call it. I do this all the time, and I just do it when it comes to me. There's an old saying: when your heart speaks, take good notes. Follow this, not this. This is monkey mind. Bing, 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 bing. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. We have 60,000 thoughts a day, separate thoughts a day. The problem is we have the same 60,000 separate thoughts a day. If you listen to this knows. People call it your gut. It's this. Your heart is an intuitive machine. It knows. So I'll give you a good example. I walked into this place called Fundati. It's a coffee shop that started during the pandemic next to the yoga studio, and she's like 26.
That's a hard place to start a coffee shop or any sort of self-run business, during a pandemic.
I came in, there was a guy behind the counter and these two girls, and they're busting their butt because everybody comes in after yoga and they're running around and they're 20 something and we're in an affluent town. So I got my stuff, I gave him a tip and I walked out and somebody just paid me in cash, like $300. I turned around and said, not good enough. I walked back in, I grabbed the both of them. I go, what are your names? Caroline and I forget the other one's name. They work there, right? And they're 20 something. Most, no offense, kids in that age aren't even working for it. They're not doing jobs. I turned around, pulled $100 out of my pocket, gave it to them. They started to cry. They're like, I go, look, you're working, you're in your 20s. I appreciate how much you're working. Now, some people would say, well, that's just about money. No, it's not. You tip people to show them they did a good service. It's the service business. It's different in your country. Our country is different. We tip to show people appreciation. And that 100 meant a lot to me, but it meant 10 times more to them. Now, they have proven without a shadow of a doubt that when you do an act of kindness, it raises your serotonin levels. Those are good hormones or good chemicals. It not only raises the serotonin level. What's that?
It's technically good for you.
Yes. But here's the fun part. They've proven that it not only raises the serotonin level of the person receiving the act of kindness and the person doing, but the people that are watching it. That's fascinating. That's the pebble in the pond theory.
Oh, yeah, because whenever I'm watching people, like little clips on YouTube of just people, doing random acts of kindness, just, being genuinely either nice to people or doing stuff like you done with the tips. Like, I just felt, that happier, I guess. It lightens the mood, it
gets you a high.
Yeah.
I had a kid a month or so ago, maybe a month and a half ago, we're in this, this nice restaurant in Narragansett, the whole bit. This kid's busting his ass. He must be 18. I'm with somebody. I said, excuse me for a second. I walked up. He was the busboy, and he's busting his ass. Yeah. I walked up to the kid. I go, what's your name? He goes, Daniel. I gave him a $20 bill. He's like, what? He goes, I get tips from the waitresses. Not today. Now, what happens is, the after effect is that I walk in that restaurant a month later. Hey, it's Kevin. It's Kevin's here. Blah, 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 blah.
Hey, Kevin.
And then the funny thing is, I started goofing around with some people a couple of weeks ago. It was like there was a couple and their daughter, and I guess it was her birthday and everything. And me being me, I was with a friend of mine, me being me, they start singing happy birthday. So what do? I stand up and I get the whole restaurant to sing her happy birthday. The whole restaurant singing happy birthday.
Oh, that's great.
And they get the candle a little bit. I said, what you getting a drink? I said, her drink's on me. Then we start meeting the family shit. Then I find out this is how it happens. This is how life happens. Then I find out she's the producer of Channel 12, the local TV station for all of restaurants. And then it's like, what? And then we exchange cards. She has my book. Who knows where it could go?
Whoa, I'm excited to see this. See, this is what socializing, this is what random acts of kindness does. It gets you places, No,
not that it gets you. Well, see, here's the thing, and this is going to be a little complicated. Our life is but to serve. Okay? How can I give? If you truly give to somebody, you're not worried about getting back. Okay? Look at your parents. Your parents have unconditional love. They give to you without worrying about what's coming back, because that's the mark of unconditional love. You give not to get. You give just to give. That's why true friendships do not worry about the back end. They don't worry about, well, you owe me. No, you don't owe me. You don't owe me. This is going to mess you up. And I said this quote before. It's one of my favorite quotes from Rumi. And that quote is, after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me.
I understand that one now.
Think what could be done with a love like that.
Yeah, I do understand that quote right now. I think we talked about it one other time. And
think about it, right? What does the sun do? Grows vegetables, air, what, atmosphere.
Without the sun, we're nothing.
Exactly. If
we die out.
You're not a planet unless the sun's revolving.
Yeah.
So, and if you can take that to a human level, right? If you can take it to a human level versus something you're going to get. So, we have a saying in sales, a true salesperson is you're fulfilling a need. It's not just about the money. Like if money wasn't an option, I still do this. I'd still do what I do. Still do what I do. I get paid well. That's great, but I'd still do what I do
Yeah.
because it's a passion of mine.
Yeah.
It's what I want to do. It's like when Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about Pavarotti. He saw Pavarotti in concert, right? And Pavarotti was singing "O Sole Mia," and the man was an absolute
Oh yeah.
when he was singing. Because what is he doing?
Yeah.
But what is he doing? He's doing his passion, but he's giving to other people. You know, I did a video not long ago. Be somebody's miracle today. Be somebody's miracle. You don't know what you're going to say to somebody that's going to help them, or what they're going to say to you, or what you're going to read, what's going to click. You just don't know. You just don't know. You know,
You never know.
I go out and do my thing in the whole 9 yards. As long as somebody doesn't cross the line, man, I try to make everybody have a good day. Hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, and then people say, how you doing? I'll say, I'm outstanding and improving. They're like, what? It just throws them off. Because most times people are like, whoa, with this weather and COVID and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, you know what? Get over it.
COVID.
Get over it. Get
Yeah.
over it. No storm in your life lasts forever. No storm. Tell me a storm that lasts forever. None. Right? It's the way you deal with like long flights. Like my whole way of dealing with the flights, like Okinawa, Alaska, the plane's got to get there sometime. The clock always moves forward. Always.
Yep. Clock always moves forward. Still moving. Yeah. Like conversations, like with my friends these days, we end up just dying out really quickly. It's like we nothing to talk about. But you know, there's so many things to talk about. You know, it's always just either weather or which is always the same in Northern Ireland. It's always green. It's literally snowing. It was sunny. It was so sunny, and then a minute later it started snowing. I was like, what is this? Why do I live here? What is this place? It's magical.
Well, there's a saying with New England, right? If you don't like the weather, wait a minute. It's the same thing over in Ireland. If you don't like the weather, wait a second.
Like if you like rain, kid, over here, you know, you're gonna be having the time of your life. Okay?
That's why it's called the Emerald Island.
It's really you wonder, you know, honestly, people always say how green it is over here, and I know why. Because the grass is always being fed. You know, it's always raining.
There's a great saying with that reminds me of that, since you brought that up. So, you know, when people think this is a great saying.
Grass is always greener.
Yeah, the grass is always greener on the other side. No.
Yeah.
Here's my favorite saying for that. The grass is always greener where you water it.
Oh, did you put a twist on that, or?
No, I've heard this before, but that's a key to like relationships, marriage, whatever it is, a committed relationship. The grass is always greener where you water it. In other words, if you spend the time and attention and be attentive to that particular thing, guess what? It will grow. And it's like martial arts. It's how I figured out martial arts. If you put the time and attention in, you get better. If you put the time and attention in to reading, writing, schoolwork, whatever it is, you put the time into a marriage, a relationship, raising your kids, it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, put it in an equation, like time plus effort equals growing, you know, something better.
In business, we call it an ROI. My return.
Yeah.
Return on investment. Look, the only thing at the end of the day that you can give anybody in your life is your time, your attention, your love, and your patience. That's it. And that's worth more than anything else.
I agree.
Give to give, not to receive.
Worth more than money or any other item.
Affection, appreciation, respect, honor, character, integrity, keeping your word is all worth more than any money in the entire world. It does not matter.
Yeah, I'd easily take that, you know, for money or anything like that.
And at the end of the day, too, find your joy. What brings you joy? Done. You know, believe me, you put me in front of a room with 10, 20, 30, 100 people, and I'm like nuts. You know, I go someplace else. You're in your environment. I'm in my zone. I'm in the zone. It clicks. Well, it's ecstasy for me. It's fun. You know, it's fun when people are like, well, that was freaking crazy. That was nuts. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's what I did my job. You're happy with that. You know, that's a day done well. That's a job done good. Job done well.
I messed up my words.
That's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So, were we good?
We are great. That was
Intense.
intense. That was a long.
It's bonus footage.
A lot of good quotes. That's bonus footage for you, you know?
Bonus footage for you. All right. So make arrangements. I got to pay you this week. Where do I send it? Ooh, look at that. $300.
Oh, goodness.
I haven't made $300 in my whole life.
Dollars. It made me think of something. I saw a comedy sketch on YouTube about people making fun of our currency, because our currency is technically weight, pounds, and people are making jokes about it. I think it was funny. I don't know, just something. I keep randomly thinking of things during our conversations.
That's okay. All right. Look, there's a saying from Gary Vaynerchuk, who I love, right? He was doing a conference about 2 months ago, and this woman got out, and people say, people tell me that, I'm not focused. And Gary flipped the script. Gary says, the fact that you're not focused is your focus. And I was like, wow. What? I'm like, wait a second here. I got to listen. He goes, and he said to her, look, the way my brain works, I have 100 things going on, because if 20 don't work out, I have these other 80.
I have so many things going around my brain at once, and they're not even related to what I'm talking about at the minute. Like sometimes whenever I'd be talking to people and like we're having a conversation and I'm listening to them and they're listening to me, and then I would suddenly randomly think of something and I'd be like, I need to bring this up, and it could be the most randomest thing. Like, have you heard about this species of a monkey or something like that? And I just have to bring it up, and I want to talk about it for some reason. I just suddenly need to talk about this certain topic. Yeah, that's weird.
That's why my mother was a freak about notes, so I keep notes all the time.
Oh yes, notes.
And I make mental notes all the time. I'm a detail freak. I'm a wicked detail freak. Attention.
I can tell. I read your book. You like details.
I do. And it doesn't matter if it's business, love, life, doesn't matter. Person I'm dating now, she's like, you are like, I gave her a big Easter basket this past weekend, and she just went nuts. And she's like, I go, well, you haven't been treated, well for a long time. And you were worried about your girls who were in their 20s getting an Easter basket, which I thought was pretty endearing, right? I'm like, you're worried about your girls who are in their 20s getting an Easter basket? I'm like, well, it's tradition. I said, you know what? In my head, I said, and this spoke, I said, when's the last time she got an Easter basket, right? When's the last time? I
also just get Easter
eggs. So I was getting some furniture the other day, and I saw these like wooden signs that, stand up. And one was, you got this girl. The other one was like, just breathe and never give up. And she's like, open it. She's like, this is like Christmas. And then I saw one cookie wrapper from a protein cookie that was peanut butter and chocolate. Just one wrapper. I just made a mental note of the car. So what did I do? I went and got a box. Of course, that then
like a big box or
a big box, like 12. Oh. So that was in there, and like all the stuffing from the baskets all overflow. And she's like, oh my God. And then I made Easter eggs, and I put protein cookies in the Easter eggs, and she just kept going. I go, keep looking.
You made an Easter egg?
Well, no. They were plastic Easter eggs.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh,
so
yeah.
She just kept going and going and going. She goes, and then I got her a journal for like this fitness journal for like writing down. I go, look, we have a saying in business: think it, ink it. Think it, ink it. Write it down. Keep track of some stuff. just random thoughts. We have.
I tried to start like a little notebook, but I always forget about it. Like there's one time where I tried to start a diary just to keep track of things. I think it was the start of lockdown, because I knew that lockdown was going to be boring, so I tried to think of stuff to do.
You'll find you will find this interesting. I've been doing this for almost a long time now. So what I do is I try every day as best I can. It's a gratuity journal.
Wow, you work and then you do a journal. Like, Kevin, where do you find the time for all this?
You just make a plan, man.
Where do you find the time? There's so many things I want to do in the day. I wish days could be longer. I wish days could. I honestly, can we just start a petition to make days longer? Do you think we could just, ask God or someone, give us a couple hours, maybe because I really want to do things. I want to. There's so many books and so many YouTube videos, and so many movies and shows and different things to do, and I don't have enough time to do them in the day.
You have your whole life. You have your
Yeah.
whole. Don't rush.
I know. I just so much stuff to do in a day. And I'm
Brandon,
sitting here bored.
Brandon, one moment, one breath, one day at a time.
Yeah, I know. I have no patience sometimes.
If you didn't have patience, you wouldn't do martial arts.
For some reason, some things I have patience for, and then there's other things that I would just
Look. There's a great book out there.
Patience.
There's a great book out there by Dr. Carlson. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff.
It's all small stuff.
Really,
In the grand scheme of things, it's all small.
Yeah, see, people go, oh, look at it from the 50,000 foot view. I don't like that because that really doesn't make sense to me, the 50,000 view. I like the idea behind don't sweat the small stuff and everything small stuff. Look, I've got notes and post-it notes everywhere for the past month. And you know what I do? As I go through them, I crumple them and throw them away. That's done.
Right.
There's got to be, no lie, there's got to be 35 post-it notes here. 35.
I would be scared of accidentally crumpling something important and throwing it away.
What I do is I'm a chef, right? So I've got multiple burners going on at once, and then I just move them around. Oh, gonna move this one. That's boiling, move it there. Oh, move that over there. Oh, move over that. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's how I get it done. And some things, and sometimes what I've learned is if I'm not, bless you, if I'm not committed to it, that it's like yoga. Maybe I need to back off. Maybe I need to lighten up. Maybe I need not to push so hard. So yoga is a very, very good metaphor because sometimes you have to find that sweet spot of, oh my God, that's killing me. And nah, that's a little too easy, you're like in between. And what you need to do, and this is the biggest thing, just let go. Just let it happen.
Relax.
Just let it happen.
Yeah. I agree with you, Kevin.
Well, young man, and I do mean young man, it has been a pleasure and an honor for you, and you will get credit for this.
Oh, thank you. It's been an honor doing this book for you, Kevin. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That's very adult of you, and honorable that you said that. It's been a joy.
It has been. It honestly has been.
I'm glad, and it gave you something to do too.
Yeah. We'll admit it. Lockdown could be boring at times, even though there's so much stuff to do, and you get overwhelmed, and then you get bored. But this has been something great to do, and I've enjoyed it. And reading the book was fun, and going through that experience was great. But I've also loved these little conversations because they led to all places. Like at one point we were talking about movies, we were looking around the apartment, and we started talking about TV shows and all of this stuff. It just went everywhere. And that's what was so fun about it,
Good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start our own podcast, Conversations with Brandon.
That'd be so chaotic. Every episode would be like an hour long.
What?
It would be. There's so much stuff to talk about,
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
All right. I've got another call to do. You have a good night.
Okay, you too. Well,
okay.
Have a good day. I don't know.
One of the two. Bye.
I don't know what time it is for you. All right. Bye-bye.
4:30. Bye.